Good morning, everybody. It's Hammer. Today is Friday, March 8th, 2024. I, of course, am with Originator Success here with your daily rate update, your mortgage rate update, the only place on the web where you guys get to be a part of the conversation. Appreciate you joining me. Remember, you can join me live each and every day, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time, as I host these videos for you. If you're here live, say good morning. All of you so active this morning. So great to see all of you. If you're here on the replay, don't forget to give me a hashtag replay like Brandy Brickler did yesterday. Thank you, Brandy. Always appreciate it when y'all do that. I do see that. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and smash that like button, tag an LO friend, share us in a group. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Remember, you can sign up for our written email lock advice to your inbox each and every day, www.ratelockadvice.com. You can get that email right to your inbox. If you want, you can sign up for our text alerts, www.ratetextalerts.com. They are a whopping $7 a month. Can't beat them. You should join them. Last but not least, we're here to help you get loans from Google and social media. If you'd like to learn more about that, which you should, check us out at originatorssuccess.com. All right. Now we got all that good stuff out of the way. Let's say hi to our live folks. Who do we got here this morning? Make sure you say good morning so I get to see you. Who we got here this morning? Starting out bright and early with Mr. Ron Siegel. Good morning, sir. Great to have you here. Mallory Fodiatis, Scott Menser, Kyle Mazikis, Zell Rayleigh, Bobby Searson, Tim Kleila, Mike Morano. Great to see all of you as well. And we'll have some fun with that Morano in a minute. Brandy Brickler, good morning. Robert Bashirs, Mike Brown, Kenny Rivard, Mike Tebow, Rob Stewart, Megan Lindbergh, Jerry Avila, Dan Crowley, Casey Roberts, Mark Preston. Great to have all of you here. A lot of people here, which is good because we've got a lot to go over this morning. So let's dive right into it. First things first, most importantly, rate sheets today, they're going to be better. They're going to be better. Rate sheets continuing to improve, a slow but steady march that we have seen over the last week plus. Today's jobs data not going to put that at risk. Although the jobs data showed a lot more payroll, we're going to go deeper on that in a minute. It's actually a mixed bag. Unemployment was up, wages were down. Overall, this actually is, I'm going to call it a tie, but it's just slightly better for mortgage bonds. And we're actually seeing some improvement this morning. Reprice risk on the day is low. We shouldn't have too much to worry about. We shouldn't have to worry about rates giving up. We shouldn't see bonds losing much ground from here or any pullback. I do think, though, we may see some on Monday. And it's possible we could see a little bit today. You know, I mean, it is a Friday. We're going to go into a Friday afternoon, but I think we'll see a little bit of pullback on Monday. But overall, in the big picture, rates not in any trouble right now. I think we're in a good spot. Let's go ahead and go deeper. Let's unpack this jobs data and let's get into this. And hold on, I'm just popping this up on my other screen here, and we'll get into all the good stuff. So let me show you what we're actually before I do this, let me show you what we're dealing with this morning, and then we'll go deeper on the actual numbers and unpack that. So looking at the technicals real quick and where we're at this morning, you can see mortgage-backed securities currently at the moment up about 5 basis points. A few minutes ago, that was up 10 basis points. If you look here, I'm actually going to put this on 1 month so we can really dig in and see these candlesticks. Look at this candlestick. It has a very long wick. So the way these candlesticks work, the bottom thick, heavy part is the body. If you have a tall, thin part, that's the wick. That's the highest that mortgage bonds were at and they were selling for this morning before they dropped back down. The fact that this is a green candlestick means we started lower and improved on the day. When you have a little bit of a tail, that's where you've actually lost a little bit of ground and recovered. So this morning you could see we were up quite a bit. It has fallen back down. And again, that's why reprice risk is low, because we're only up about 5, maybe even 10 by the time we get their basis points, and it's dropping a little bit here. I don't like to see that, but it's not anything that I would really get worried about. Down here in the corner, you'll notice I also have the 6.0 coupon, because this is the 5.5 up here. The 6.0 coupon, same thing, plus 2 basis points, right? So it's almost exactly the same. And you can see that it doesn't matter which one we're following. Now, taking a look here, I have this on just the real-time 1-day chart here. We actually, it's easier to see it actually if we put on the 2-day though to see. We were kind of flat on the day. We actually, as we hit that jobs data right here, we were up before it, 99.81. We got the jobs data. It dropped to 99.70. It went negative, and then it bounced back and went higher. Since then, we've kind of trickled down, and we're just going to see this is kind of sideways trading. I mean, this is due to volume. When you see a drop like this, we went from 99.83 down to 99.73, and you're seeing that in trading volume. However, look at this 10-year treasury yield. That's also very telling to me at the moment. This was down as low as 4.04. We were down. We had a real nice low, and it's kind of crept up since then to 4.09. I'm not loving this, but it's not negative. Now, yesterday, I had said, hey, let's float into this thing unless you wanted to, minimize all risk and you had loans that you needed to protect. And this is a win to me. It's really a tie because we're kind of flat, but I'll still take it as a win. And let's talk about what happened in the BLS data and why we're seeing what we're seeing. We'll move this around. So let's go ahead and flap this back on. Let's do the side by side. Let's move this over. Come on. There it is. Okay. Had to snap that puppy in there. Okay. So which article we want? Actually, let's start with we'll start with my daily lock advice here. So, break down today's BLS jobs data, but for those that are too long, didn't read, it was more good for rates than bad. The eye-grabbing number is going to be the 275,000 jobs that were created, right? We were expecting 200,000. There were 275,000 jobs that were created, so obviously that's higher. 52,000 of those new jobs were government jobs, for those of you that track that. But the last 2 months were revised down significantly. Here we go, Ron Siegel. I said the revision would be, is this backwards for you guys, or does it show the right way? I'm curious if it mirrors. Is this written backwards? Can you guys, or is it front way? Let me know in the comments if this is backwards or if it shows the big one. Ron Siegel wrote 29% downward revisions to the January report. Yes, 29%, which actually means 124,000 jobs. I said I thought we'd see at least 110,000. It's backwards. Thanks. Yeah, I don't know why. I'll have to see what the mirroring is. I don't know why when you turn a camera on. Blurry. Well, that's my crappy internet, Robert. I'm sorry, my man. But my revision was 110,000, and the number was actually 124,000. So that's still a lot of new jobs created. 353,000 revised down by 124. That means basically 229,000 jobs created for last month, which less than what they've got for this month. And then, of course, the December number was also dropped to 43,000. Now, we saw the strong increase in new payroll is normally bad for rates and pricing. It's not what we want to see. However, the rest of the data was kind of in our favor. So when you look at the rest of the data, average hourly earnings rose 0.1% from January and 4.3% from a year ago. Now, that's much lower than what we have been seeing, which last month was revised to 0.5%. So that's a big drop. Wages a big part of inflation. If people are making more money, they're spending more money. But if they don't have that money, they can't spend it. And we have that, what we call a wage inflation spiral that can happen. And we're not seeing that at all this time around. But that was definitely lower, and unemployment was higher, was 3.9%, which is what I said I thought it would come in at. The participation rate was a little lower than expected. Everyone keeps thinking the participation rate is going to go up. It was 62.5%. That was the same for the last 3 months now. What the participation rate is that when they do a household survey, that's how they come up with unemployment. And they call in the ring, hey, how are you? Do you have a job? And if you answer no, well, it doesn't mean you're unemployed unless you're participating in the employment market. So you could be retired, you could be disabled, you could be lazy. But if you're not looking for a job, and that's the participation rate, how many people, if they called 100, 62% of them said, I'm looking for a job and I don't have one. That's unemployed. The other, 37.5% said, I'm not looking for a job. They're not participating. They're not unemployed. So that participation rate and the unemployment going up shows that if the participation rate had dropped or increased, it would change the way we would look at the unemployment number. But this is actually showing unemployment increasing a little bit. So the holistic view here is that this all points to the Fed keeping rates exactly where they were. and for everything to kind of hold steady. So right now, the expectations are at this Fed meeting in March, 97% expectation that we'll leave rates exactly the same. In May, the expectation was about 25% that we'd see a rate cut. It's almost exactly the same as it was. In June, it was 75% that we'd see a rate cut. It's almost exactly the same as it was. And in July, it was about 95%. Come on. And that's almost exactly the same as well. So we really haven't seen any big change here, but not a lot of fear for what we've got going on here. Again, mortgage bonds, we saw a little bit of a better reaction early after the news, kind of settled back down, and that's very much where we're at. I am concerned that we could be capping out for the near term. Take a look at this chart. Let's go ahead and put this on. Let's put this on the 3-month there so we can see it a little different. So taking a look here at this chart, I mean, we have had a really nice run up. See all of these green candlesticks, all this move over the last few weeks, and we're going to be testing some resistance that's right over here. If I were to draw a line, which I could do let me go ahead and open this up. So Ron said, how many tech workers making 60% of their $170,000 job are filing for unemployment of $500 a week? Exactly. But the tech where, I mean, Ron, we could dig so deep into it. Leisure and hospitality still hasn't recovered from pre-COVID. There's those things. Tim Cloud said, did they ever dig in these new jobs? Are they wait staff and hotel staff for IT and tech? Does it make a difference? Yes, actually, let's go ahead and take a look. BLS jobs release. So Tim, I don't go deep into this stuff because at the end of the day, we're mortgage, right? And we're worried about mortgage rates. But I do watch guys on YouTube like Meet Kevin, who he goes in and breaks this down piece by piece by piece by piece by piece by piece. But if we look at the report for not calendar, I want the actual release. So if we look at the summary, this is for March 8th, 2024. And if you take a look here, this is a very long document that goes into all of that you're talking about. Like employment in transportation and warehousing rose 20,000, employment in construction and trade retail employment. I mean, like we can really dig deep, and that's what the traders are doing is they're going through this entire document here. And then there's tables you can go to and look at the tables of all the breakdown and all that stuff. I mean, like look at all this different data that's here. There's a whole lot of data by industry, by sector, by all that stuff. And I generally don't like to dig too deep into it because again, we can really have fun going in the weeds. And you know what? The more people I know that do that, the less right they generally are. I always talk about how I do this in CRAN, and yet it seems to work, right? So I said to float into this and to take that risk. Anything that was closing near term, to worry about. I am holding the same thing as where I was at last time. Anything less than 15 days, consider locking if you're risk averse. If you don't want to risk losing what we've picked up. We have picked up some really, really nice pricing. You're talking today, we'll be at like, I don't know, 6 7/8 for a base rate compared to 7 1/4. We've picked up 3/8 of a point in rate, not in pricing, but in rate over the last 2 weeks. So you may not want to lose that, right? Or actually not even 2 weeks. It's been like 10 days. So you may not want to lose that. And if you want to lock that up, I get it. But next week, we're going to have the CPI inflation data. How's that data going to come in? That's a great, great question. Last month, we had the same thing that we did with the labor data where it had big changes in the seasonal adjustments. We don't have that, now that that's been factored in. I don't think we're going to see a really, really stellar CPI report, but it is the next thing that could continue to see rates creep lower and take this 6.92, push it down into 6.75, 6 5/8 kind of range. We're going to need to see that. We're going to need to see 2 more events. We're going to need CPI data and the inflation data next week to come in really favorably. And we're going to need to see the Fed's March meeting and their next dot plot show that they still plan and expect to see 3 rate cuts this year. And I think that most of them do. Now, some of them may have gotten a little more hawkish and they may not expect that, but I think that many of them know that this is going to catch up and we're going to need to see 3 rate cuts this year. Ron said it would be fun to look at the January report expectations compared to the adjusted BLS report. Won't matter to rates, but it would be interesting. Yeah, Ron, we could geek out on that stuff. I got to tell you, I have more fun looking at poker odds than I do non-farm payroll data, though. Good morning, Bill Stevens. Just looking to see whatever else you guys are saying, if there's anything here. But anyway, that is the advice. Anything that's longer term, I had been saying about floating out of it, because right now we don't have risk. Not large risk, right? That could change after the Fed meeting. But the nice thing about the Fed meeting is it happens in the middle of the day, and all the action comes during the press conference, right? From 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. Eastern time. So that's going to be March 20th. So that's a couple weeks away. Today's the 8th. 20th is a little less than 2 weeks from now. So I think that's where we've got going on. But again, some days I'm right, some days I'm wrong. I want to be very clear, right? I could turn around and pat myself on the back and say, see, I said float into this report. Look how it's turned out. Last month I said float into the report and it bit me in the ass. So sometimes that happens. Not going to take more credit to it than it should be. Just kind of taking things on where I see them coming and the amount of risk that I think is acceptable based on that. I don't think we're going to see any stellar improvements to rates, but if let's face it, rates have improved. And if they get into the 6s, it's going to get a lot more people off the fence than rates in the 7s, right? So that's my take on things. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend. I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for anyone that doesn't want to pay. What are you guys doing this weekend? I've got more honey-do list stuff to do, and always doing stuff around the house. Next week, I'll be speaking in Atlanta, by the way. Anybody on the East Coast that's near Atlanta wants to come to an event, it's a couple $100. It's the Difference Maker Mastermind. Here, let me actually show this up on the screen and put this here, and I will post the link to it. I do have a discount code as well for those of you that, if you want one, let me turn this off. So here we go. This is a event. Today is the last day for sign up in Atlanta. Some awesome speakers. We're going to have Christine Beckwith, Ed Perez from EPM. Christine is with 2020 Vision for Success Coaching. Chris Vincent, Windsor Mortgage. Jason Frazier, Vision for Success. Alvin Shah. I don't know Alvin, so I'm interested. Alan Christian, always great insight. He's going to be talking about how he got 6 loans from an Uber ride. Ashley Corville and Rebecca Richardson, 2 rock stars. I don't know Karan. Seems like she might be related to or married to Alvin, is what it looks like here. But, or just a common last name. I don't know. So anyway, they're going to be there. And then this guy, of course, you know him. He's going to be there speaking. So if y'all are interested in this, let me post the link here. Shoot me an email at hammer@originatorssuccess.com. I'll get you a discount code. And I'm going to post the link if y'all are interested. And actually, you know what? Let me see. I will get you. Let me find that discount code. It'll only take me a second. Tell me what you guys are doing in the meantime. And hold on, I'm pulling this up. Here you go. So if you use the code WIN50, it will save you $50. WIN50. WIN50. WIN50, capital letters. Kim said, sorry to miss Atlanta. Had another event scheduled same day. Hope to make the next one. Yeah, I think this should be a lot of fun on this event. So, and it's a couple $100. I don't think that's unreasonable in today's environment. I know that money is tight, but I think that you'll make that back. I do. I definitely think you'll get a loan out of the stuff coming here. Corning a brisket to turn into pastrami for St. Patrick's Day. Dude, I'm coming over to your house, Clyla. That sounds yummy. I like pastrami. I like St. Patrick's Day. What is the cabbage? Corned beef and cabbage, right? That's what corned beef and cabbage. I enjoy that. That's the 17th. So you have to start early, right? Isn't St. Patrick's Day? Yeah, it's the 17th. So anyway, all right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Appreciate you. Hope to see you again next week. Remember, I do this each and every day at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. Hope y'all have wait, Robert Bashir said, Let me get Robert's question up here. I'm still trying to understand inflation. I heard last night we're at 9%, but now we're at 3%. Oh, come on. Should we have a little bit of fun? All right, here's the deal. There's 31 of you left. If you're still here, you're my friends, right? So I'm not a Biden fan. I think that the guy has, I think he had a pretty decent run as a politician. I think overall, nothing I'd be majorly whatever. I think right now the guy has dementia. I don't think he pulls his own strings. I think there's somebody behind the scene. When it comes to these State of the Union addresses, though, I don't care whether it's Biden, Obama, or Trump, or Bush. These things for years have just been a circle jerk. I know that's disgusting, and I apologize to our female watchers, but it is what it is, right? You have one person standing at the front representing one group of people, the two parties behind him. One of them will stand up and clap every 12 seconds like a seal. The other one looks sour, or what did Pelosi do? Rip up a piece of paper or something, and then they pan to the audience and they stand up like every fourth thing he says is the most amazing thing ever. And then the other side of the audience sits there and, looks like they could not be more uncomfortable and angry to be there. And it's disgusting. That's disgusting that's what our country has devolved to, with this ridiculous two-party system that can't get anything done to improve and build on the greatest country in the world. And then the other thing on top of that is, you've got him rambling things that don't make any sense. Listen, we're not even going to pick on the fact that the guy is saying things, because I know I'm not perfect. I make mistakes. I'm talking live, right? And you're going to say things, and I get that. And, pronouncing the name of the person wrong, in Lincoln instead of Lakin. And I it's easy to pick on those things, but bigger stuff, like they throw things out there that the American public is jumping on and thinking is going to happen. And, it's just all BS. Like, this, I heard we're at 9%. Now we're at 3%. That's actually true. If you look at the headline CPI data, we were at 9% in June of 2022. Now we're around 3%, and that's fine. For that, actually, we were at 3.1% or I think we even went to 2.9%, right, last month for the CPI data. The president taking credit for all this stuff, though, makes me laugh. And I don't care which party it is and which side it is. This whole, the State of the Union is a whole pomp and circumstance bullshit session of, back patting and bitching and diversity. Ugh. It bugs me. The whole thing bugs me. The things that came out of his mouth, half of them that they said they want to make happen aren't going to happen. I would love to see things that help the housing market, y'all. I don't care if it comes from a president I like or don't like, or an administration I like or don't like. I would love to see first-time homebuyers given a tax credit for buying a home to help offset, rates. It would have to, but is it really going to work? I don't know. It has to be packaged the right way. It has to be done the right way, right? Like they say, oh, it's going to offset, brings the rate 1.5% lower. Well, we're not doing a temporary buy down here. So does it really bring the rate lower? And people don't have the money to put that out up front on a tax credit. So is it really going to make that difference? And, he said title insurance. He meant mortgage insurance. He's not a mortgage guy. So I get, what? I'm not going to jump on the slip of the tongue or the fact that he doesn't even know the difference, because I don't care. But even if we said, hey, we're going to get rid of MI, that they say these things, and that's stupid. There's a reason that FHA has the upfront MIP and the monthly, insurance premium. It's because the loans go bad. And you need this insurance to get them done. And you need the insurance to keep the system solvent. You can't just decide you want to wave a wand and get rid of that stuff. That's stupid. So Ron said, what would the first-time homebuyer buy with no inventory? Yeah. I mean, Ron, I can't necessarily disagree with that. Mike said, it's funny because all the free money caused the 9%. Absolutely it did. Not only that, it wasn't even just the free money, Mike. It was all the lockdowns and the slowdowns and the way that they reacted to the pandemic, which, by the way, the CDC has now said that you don't need to even do a 5-day quarantine if you have COVID. Basically, COVID has now been treated exactly like the flu. So all of us that said, I know that COVID is not the flu. I know that it reacts in your body differently because it's a man-made virus that was made in a lab in China. And I've had it a couple of times. I get it. But all of this stuff and the reaction that we had and the devastation and what we did and putting people out of business and putting businesses out of business and all this stuff, all of it. Yeah, it's because of anyway, I'm going to lose friends and followers if I keep up. So I'm going to just quiet down now. Ron said you shouldn't have as many errors when using a teleprompter. He probably shouldn't, but you know what? I mean, even that stuff. Like, look at Gerald Ford. Remember how Gerald Ford always got made fun of on Saturday Night Live because he was a klutz? And I mean, we've had lots of presidents that weren't amazing. George W. Bush was like a wet napkin. He would make lots of stupid things and say too, but he wasn't 80-something years old and demented. And if you don't think that Biden is demented, then you're just lying to yourself. And I'm not going to try to convince you otherwise. When I say demented, I mean having dementia. Anybody that's gone through that with a loved one can recognize it very quickly. And the fact that we see it from afar, and I don't look for the ones the clips on conservative news channels. You just watch 15 minutes of something, 20 minutes, and you'll see it. So, all right, my friends, I will see y'all later, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Take care, my friends. Bye.